When I think of drought, it conjures of itself as a tobacco brown hellscape littered with emaciated carcasses. There is something profoundly depressing about drought. Just thinking about it makes my throat feel parched. I've been thinking about drought in the context of a United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, or UNCCD, conference in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Its focus was on drought apart from land degradation. I wrote a piece about it and converted into this podcast using Google's NotebookLM as part of my regular practice. Bear in mind the podcast draws almost entirely from my writing. Here it is.
Have you ever, I don't know, thought about what it would be like to actually live through a drought?
Yeah.
Not just, a dry spell, but an actual, prolonged, severe lack of water.
Yeah. Scary thought.
It is. And that's what we're diving into today.
Okay.
Um, the stark realities of droughts,
Yeah.
how they're getting worse,
Right.
who they impact, and why. Honestly, we should all be paying attention to this.
For sure.
So to guide us on this deep dive today, we've got this article, pasted text, by Mayank Chaya.
Oh, okay.
And it really focuses on this recent UN convention to combat desertification. So pretty heavy stuff.
Wow, that sounds intense.
It is.
Hmm.
One of the things I found super striking right off the bat was the article mentions that droughts have become 30% more frequent and intense
Oh, wow.
since 2000.
That's a huge jump.
I know, in just a couple of decades.
Yeah.
So why is that happening?
Well, I mean, droughts are a natural part of, the Earth's climate cycles. But when we see such a, like you said, a dramatic increase, in such a short time,
right.
it really points to something else going on,
Yeah.
And a lot of scientists believe that this accelerated intensification is, it's heavily influenced by human activity and, climate change.
So are we talking directly because of climate change, or is this a symptom of climate change?
It's definitely, I mean, it's a bit of both,
Yeah.
So as global temperatures rise, we're seeing all these different changes shifts in weather patterns, increased evaporation,
Mm-hmm.
and even just altered precipitation cycles.
Yeah.
And all of that kind of, throws off the balance and can lead to these more frequent and severe droughts.
So it's not just oh, it's a hotter summer.
Exactly.
It's messing with the whole way that water works on our planet.
Yeah, the delicate balance of the whole water cycle.
Right. And the article actually brings up this, I thought it was kind of a crazy statistic,
Okay.
that we could be looking at a loss of $23 trillion
Wow.
to the global economy by 2050 because of land degradation that's driven by these droughts.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't even know what $23 trillion even means.
I know.
Can you put that into perspective?
I mean, think about it this way. The entire U.S. economy, right? The largest in the world.
Right.
Imagine that disappearing. Poof.
Oh, wow.
Gone. That's the scale we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And it's not just a number on a spreadsheet.
Right.
It's real-world consequences. Lost jobs, food prices skyrocketing,
Yeah.
people being forced to leave their homes. I mean, it could even lead to, widespread social unrest. It's scary stuff.
So it's like a domino effect.
Exactly.
It hits one thing and then it's just
Ripples out
Yeah.
across all these different
it
sectors.
hacks billions of lives.
Yeah.
And the article also mentions that there are 1.8 billion people who rely on agriculture
Wow.
and natural resources that are directly threatened by drought. That's what, almost a quarter of the entire planet?
It's a huge number of people.
Yeah. And I thought that maybe this was just, impacting developing nations.
Right.
But the article goes on to list over 30 countries that have actually declared drought emergencies in recent years,
Oh, wow.
including, the U.S., Canada, Spain, places you wouldn't necessarily think of
Right.
as drought-stricken areas.
Yeah, it really drives home the point that this is not just a regional problem.
Right.
This is a global challenge.
It's everyone's problem.
Exactly. It transcends borders,
Yeah.
It doesn't care about your geography.
And that actually reminds me of something that Ibrahim Thiaw, who's the UNCCD executive secretary,
Okay.
he said that no country is immune.
It's true.
He predicts that by 2050, 7.5 billion people are going to feel the direct effects of drought.
Wow. So basically, almost everyone on the planet.
Yeah,
And it's a pretty stark warning.
It's a scary thought. And he went on to describe drought as an equal opportunity assault on human existence.
That's that's a very powerful way to put it.
Well, I thought so too.
Because it really emphasizes how indiscriminate it is.
Yeah.
I mean, drought doesn't care about your income or your nationality or your social status.
Right.
Like, we all need water to survive, right? And we all need food that's produced from land.
Yeah.
And both of those things are, directly impacted by drought.
So it's like this underlying thing that we all need that can just be taken away.
Exactly.
Now, the article does it feels a little bit doom and gloom. It doesn't really offer a ton of solutions, but it does say that the UN estimates we need like $2.6 trillion
Wow.
by 2030 just for land restoration.
That's a huge number.
I know, it's like another crazy number.
But it does highlight the scale of the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And the need for, significant investment in strategies to both, mitigate and adapt to drought.
So like what kinds of things we're talking about?
Well, it can range from promoting sustainable land management practices,
Okay.
Developing drought-resistant crops, improving water conservation technologies.
So it sounds like it's going to take like a global effort.
Oh, absolutely.
Like governments and organizations and just individuals, like everyone needs to kind of pitch in.
For sure. I mean, from those big international agreements to, just community-level initiatives, every effort counts.